Welcome into Bud Light Game Night. We're at the Grocery Brewpub in Homewood. I'm Ryan Brown. Mick Gillispie from CoverCrimson.com is hanging out with us for the next 45 minutes or so. Of course, that's Lance Taylor and Jim Dunaway. Why the lay, Lance?
We are having a luau, Brown. I don't know if you knew this.
I did. I saw the decoration.
Kona Big Wave. Is it behind us? Yeah, it is. $7. You can get the Kona. It's a Golden Ale. Are you a Golden Ale fan?
I've enjoyed Golden Ales in my day, and did not sample one yet tonight, but I heard these are fantastic.
Well, I would let you sample mine, but this is actually a Busch Light.
What time's green flag?
Oh, I love a good Busch Light.
I mean, I've got them in my fridge.
This actually, I mean, there are some regulars here that absolutely enjoy the Busch Light. You see the neon.
Yep.
It's probably the biggest neon here.
Yep. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, so I went to the bar, and one of the guys from Adams was like, hey, here's a Busch Light. And I was like, I ain't had one in about 25 years, but I'll give it a shot.
Oh, it's a good, smooth drink.
That's my third one.
Yeah. It drink good, don't it?
It drink good. But they are having a little luau, I should say.
Yep.
Flowers all over the place. So come out and enjoy a $7 Kona Big Wave. They've also got the mango cart. They're doing some kind of mix where they put some kind of fruit juice on top of it. I don't know exactly what that is.
Sounds dangerous.
Yeah. Hey, come join us.
All right, so we're at Grocery Brewpub. It is right in the heart of Homewood, next to the Battery. Fun area right here. Come hang out. We got a nice crowd out here already. They'll have on the Thursday night game tonight, which is Green Bay taking on the Detroit Lions. Should be an interesting game in Detroit. Mick, Detroit, you think they're the best team in the NFL?
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that it's the Lions and the Ravens in the Super Bowl, since I'm a Ravens guy. But that could realistically be the Super Bowl.
Well, you're a Ravens guy, so you just saw who Lance thinks is the best team in the NFL, the Eagles, right?
Yeah, I think right now, look, I mean, this is all over the place, but based on what I've seen from the Eagles the last couple of weeks, I think they've really come together. Do you trust Jalen Hurts? That's kind of the question right now. I mean, 100% the best teams in the NFC are Detroit and Philadelphia. And then when you get to the AFC, you got to put Pittsburgh in the mix now with Baltimore, Buffalo. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs have only got one loss. They haven't been impressive. They continue to find ways to win. Much like, and I know we'll get to college football here in a minute, much like what we've seen in 2024 with this wide open, unpredictable who's going to win the national championship, I think you're getting that right now in the NFL.
I still think when it's all said and done, Mick and Ryan and Lance, that it'll be the Lions coming out of the NFC. How many times have we seen you get close one year and the next year you learn from that experience and then you finally make the trip through? When you talk about the whole 22, I think I like the Lions part. Great running game, talented receivers, really elite tight end, better quarterback, more consistent than Jalen Hurts, I think, in Goff. And then the defense that's improving with Terrion Arnold there in the DB, in the secondary.
Yeah, Gibbs. And last year they got so close, right? I mean, if they don't blow the big lead for the first time in our lifetimes.
Yep. Well, that's why it scares me, because Detroit's never been there before. Yeah. They're one of 4 teams, I think, in the National Football League that have never been to a Super Bowl. And Philadelphia is one of those brands that, every 4 or 5 years they find their way to a Super Bowl, including Nick Sirianni just a couple of years ago with Jalen Hurts. That's why I kind of lean with this improved Vic Fangio defense and Saquon Barkley. They're the best team. We'll see what happens. Aiden Hutchinson, that loss about 6 weeks ago, I think was the difference that would put Philadelphia over the top.
That's a big loss, but this has been a year, like you said, in all of sports where you've seen some unexpected things. We're about to see Texas play for an SEC championship. We're about to see Boise State probably finally get their due and make a playoff. SMU could be in a playoff. There's a lot of potential firsts about to happen, and why not the Lions in the Super Bowl?
Well, I don't know if this is true. I'm going to take Will's word for it. He says only one quarterback has thrown multiple TDs against the Lions. That's Caleb Williams on Thanksgiving. Is that possibly true?
That comeback was impressive.
No, the comeback was impressive, but I can't believe he would be the only one that has thrown multiple TDs on the Lions.
I mean, I got to go back week 1 with my man Matt Stafford. I know he threw a pick in the end zone. I know Kyron Williams scored a touchdown or two. I find that hard to believe, but I don't know why he would say it if not.
Who said that, Brownie?
Will did. Will Faust on the chat room.
Come on, Will. If it was Daniel, I would trust Daniel, but if it's
Okay.
Will,
You're not going to trust Will?
I'm going to take Will at his word.
And NH3425 says the Lions are on a revenge tour. That's kind of what you guys are talking about, right? They got close last year, couldn't close the deal. So a revenge tour.
Well, that's what I feel like sometimes happens. You know, I remember as a kid, I was a Terps fan. They got to the Final Four and blew a big lead to Duke. Came back the next year in Atlanta, and they won the national championship.
Are you still a Terps fan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Bama basketball. This is the first time in my life that Bama basketball has actually been kind of more significant than Maryland basketball. You know, I mean, I grew up Len Bias and
much more
Juan
significant.
Dixon and Stevie Francis, and now all of a sudden it's like Terps stink. I graduated from Alabama, but I just didn't imagine the day that we'd go to North Carolina. Maryland never went to North Carolina and beat them from, the start to the finish.
Jump the
right. Like it wasn't even a game, and it's like, we'll talk about maybe this isn't a great North Carolina team, but Bama just went in there and swatted them around like flies.
Oh, it was so impressive. By the way, I'm checking Will out. 3 games in, Stafford had 1 touchdown. Mayfield had 1 touchdown. Kyler Murray had 1 touchdown. So
I'm inclined to believe him.
I'm a quarter of the way through.
Right.
I believe him.
Should we believe him? I can stop fact checking.
Believe him.
Oh, keep doing it, Dunaway. Steve Francis.
Stevie.
That
Stevie
national
Francis.
championship, did they not play Duke 3 times that year? And they were incredible games?
The year before that, they lost the 3rd game to Duke, and it felt like it was officiated by the same officials that called back the Ryan Williams touchdown. Like Maryland had a big lead in the second half, and then Duke, they do all the flopping and everything, and all of a sudden 18 points or something was gone. They lose. Krzyzewski wins. So the next year they came back and they took care of Duke, and Mike Davis was the coach. Remember that? Yeah, like it was like if Bobby Knight was here, maybe it'd be a different story. But I went to the games in Atlanta.
I said this the other day, and I forgot when we were doing the show, but Mike Davis is now an assistant under Penny Hardaway at Memphis, who, by the way, had a nice comeback win last night. Okay. But I said I believe Nick Saban could get a team further in the NCAA tournament than Mike Davis did.
I put my money on that.
Well, they would have had to win the national championship.
That 1 year.
But it was Bobby Knight's system. Like those guys ran like you watched them play, and it was like all the cuts and everything. Yeah, like those guys were probably so disappointed that he got fired. But
hey, by the way, Brown and I wore the same hoodie tonight.
That's right. Roback.com code TNR20.
I saw him walk into the grocery, and I was like, "Oh my God, what are the chances we got the same cream-colored hoodie on?"
I'd forgotten we even had that. Like both of us had it. I'd forgotten that.
I haven't worn it in forever.
Yeah, I guess that's why I'd forgotten. I'd not see you wearing. So it was nice of you to keep your jacket on and put on a lei just so we don't look crazy.
I've got
this thing's kind of itchy, by the way.
I'm sure.
I don't have the cream-colored one, but I've got the gray one.
My man Finney's just shaking his head. I'm trying to be celebratory here.
The thing that people don't understand, and Coker always talks about taking a nap when he's wearing his. They're so comfortable.
I know.
But the other thing is like they not only are they comfortable, but when you get up from your nap, they're not all like crinkled up.
That's right. Yep.
Dunaway,
how far through the season are you now?
I'm in week 12.
Oh, you're almost there.
Yep.
Well, I can tell you Caleb Williams did it in week 13.
It's an old reporter in him. You can't just take somebody's word for it.
And then week 13 is Thanksgiving.
Okay, as you do this. So tonight, Romeo
Caleb Williams threw 3 touchdowns.
That's right. That was it.
He's on my fantasy team.
So way to go, Will.
Good job, Will.
I was with you, Will, from the start.
Wow. Will, you now have the seal of trust that Daniel has.
That's really impressive because a couple of things without Aiden Hutchinson, and we all love Terrion Arnold, but Terrion Arnold, and I heard somebody nationally call him out this morning. Jordan Love, the difference in this game is going to be them picking on Terrion Arnold.
Well, he's going to learn. I mean, this is first year.
Oh, look, he's going to end up being a stud, but, if you're looking for, one maybe chink in the armor when it comes to the back end of that defense, I mean, Terrion is the guy you would go after right now.
By the way, after running through all their games, if this was college football, I don't think their 11-1 would stand up like the 10-2s of the Vikings and the Eagles.
You're going strength of schedule in Detroit?
Oh, my goodness. They face Mason Rudolph, Dak Prescott, Will Levis, Mac Jones. There's some of the quarterbacks that they face in that streak.
This is the SMU right now, the NFC, right?
The Lions, maybe if they lose, they're out. They're not going to make it.
We're going to see Dan Campbell doing the interview tour. Man, I mean, you got to look. We had to go on the road.
Yeah, I love listening.
We haven't really gotten your opinion, and I know you do great work with Clint and all the guys that cover Clemson. But it's so fascinating. We just met with a client. The guy played, you met him.
Yeah.
Played football at Virginia, but grew up an Alabama fan, huge Alabama football fan. And he's like, what's going to happen? And now I'm getting almost to the Dunaway point where I think so many people are crying about you can't go to a conference championship game with 11 wins, lose, and be on the outside. Because you continue to hear this now. I don't know where you sit on this. We all know if SMU wins, Alabama's in.
I sit right next to you.
But if Clemson wins, what happens?
All right, look, first off, I gotta tell you guys this about Clint. We did the recruiting show yesterday, right?
Right.
And I love working with him. I mean, I think we all respect him.
Clint's as good as it comes, yeah.
He blew me away, man. Like, I'm asking him about all the guys, and we get done, and I'm like, man, this guy just gave me, like, it felt like being in, like, Bama recruiting 401. You know what I mean? Advanced level. And I said to him afterwards, I'm like, man, I'm sorry. I didn't even think about asking you if you knew the answer to this. He's telling you what this guy brings to the table, who he's going to replace, how he fits in the Alabama system. So go to Cover Crimson if you're an Alabama fan and check it out.
Yeah, join for $1 for the first month and see the Cover Crimson YouTube channel with all that content.
Dude, I was like, that checks out. Like, this guy's he's the best, man. Yeah, and this is why. Now,
and this is the time to jump on, because to me, what you guys will be doing about the portal over the next few days, in weeks, I really believe Kalen, DeBoer, and this staff will be a little bit more aggressive than Nick Saban in the portal, because I think they are okay with going out and grabbing a star and plugging them in more than Nick, who wanted to sort of do it within the program.
And he's got to find people that fit his way of teaching. It's not just, hey, this guy can come in and play. I mean, he's not going to be in people's faces. He just does it his way, and he's got to find people that fit that. Yeah. But going back to you, Lance, Bama's in, man. And I'm going to tell you why.
100%.
Shuts it down. Wow. Another, and I got to shout out to Jake Coker. Coker and I did our show a few days ago, and he's like going through the SMU schedule, and he's like, man, they can win. The only way they're in if they win. Like, if they lose, you can't put that schedule up against Alabama. They're like they're like last. Like, they haven't beaten anybody.
It's in the 80s, right? Strength of schedule's in the 80s, I think.
It's so bad.
It is zero top 25 wins.
There's no wins, but that's not even why. The reason why is that these guys spent $1 billion on these games.
Yeah.
Right? SMU and Notre Dame is, a crap game. I'd probably call it something else if I was on my show. If you put Bama and Notre Dame together, I'm going, man.
Yeah.
Like, not just watching. I want to be in South Bend. You put Bama against Penn State, that's another one. Like, I'm making the drive.
Yeah.
These are marquee matchups. They're matchups that basically sell TV. This isn't the NFL. Yep. It's college. There's a lot of money at stake. Look, I think South Carolina has a really good, bid to be in. I think that Ole Miss could be in. I think Miami could be in. And I've made, actually, and I want to hear what you guys think, I've made a 360 on the playoff. I think we ought to expand it and get more teams in, because at this point, 12, I mean, what matters if it's 32? I mean, we get through a lot of them early.
Let me run by what Joel Klatt said on our show. But first, I mentioned on the air today that Alabama's the villain in college football. Yeah. And you don't do the Royal Rumble without inviting the villain. Right. So you got to bring them in. Even if they win or lose, you throw them in there and let whoever anybody wants to. Everybody will be cheering against them except for Bama fans. So it'll be great television. But the Klatt thing, you talk about expanding. I am more and more, as I played golf yesterday, I kept thinking about this, and this is the way to go, because this expansion to 14 teams, Klatt thinks we'll go to 14 teams. There's one more year of this contract in 25. So in 2026, he thinks we go to 14 teams, Mick. And this weekend would be in Atlanta, 1 versus 2 for the automatic bid and a bye from the SEC. And then the Big Ten and the SEC would have 4 automatic bids, counting that one. So 3 other bids up for play there. So 1 and 2 are in, 1 with a bye and 1's out. And then also tomorrow on Saturday, on home campuses, the 6th place SEC team would play the 3rd place SEC team, and the 5th place SEC team would play the 4th place SEC team, and the winners advance into the college football playoffs. So you have basically an SEC playoff to see who the 4 automatic bids are, and at that point there's no committee, they're automatic bids, and really it's all SEC, so you could play whoever you wanted to play out of conference,
right?
And those losses wouldn't impact your path to the college football playoffs. It would really be almost NFL-esque at that point. So Alabama, to have a good season ticket package, could have Notre Dame and USC out of conference.
I mean, you could play the Packers and the Bears. It doesn't matter.
That's
It's all about conference.
Yeah,
thank God for those.
When Klatt framed that, I mean, we all were like, we're in immediately. And back to y'all saying about the heel, I think that is important because, you know, in the NCAA March Madness, we need Cinderellas. And I think you've got Cinderellas. Whether it's UNLV or Boise State, you've got Indiana in there. You've got to have a hated team. Who is the hated team? If Alabama gets in, everyone's pulling against Alabama.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. You got go back real quick. Go back to the Klatt thing. So, all right. So you got rivalry weekend, right? You keep that. Then the next weekend you got what?
Is this playoff? It's 1 and 2 in Atlanta for the SEC championship, but the loser is in the playoffs too.
And 3 and 4 play on campus.
3 and 4 are the host teams, and then 5 goes to 4, 6 goes to 3.
Okay.
And it's not by any rankings or anything like that. It is by the determined SEC standings. So however you want to do the tiebreakers, that's when you expand to 9 games. Because at that point it's not hurting you nationally. You play the 9 games, so you're only responsible for 3 out of conference games. The TV partners get that extra week of SEC games. Then they get this unbelievable Saturday on ABC and ESPN where you've got 3 playoff games.
That would be the best Saturday we've ever seen.
Saturday.
Incredible. Everything on the line in a home game like that.
So this year with the standings, you'd have Georgia and Texas. Winner gets. There's only 2 byes in that 14 team. It would be the Big Ten champion and the SEC champion. Let's say Texas wins, Georgia goes into the playoffs, and then this week you would have who's third in the SEC right now? It's Tennessee. Tennessee would be hosting 6, which I think is South Carolina.
Tennessee's 3, Alabama's 4, Ole Miss 5, South Carolina 6.
And then Ole Miss would be in Tuscaloosa. And the winners go, and Missouri, who'd be 19th in the country, would be out because of the tiebreakers.
Wow.
Would that not be a great weekend?
Sign me up.
I say, I was against the playoff, right? I thought, well, college football is different because the regular season's the playoff. I'm an old man like that. And I remember Mike Leach saying, hey, look, every other level of football, you got a tournament, right?
Yep.
And then I started looking through it. I'm like, he's actually right.
I mean, from high school to the NFL.
Every other one, right?
Every sport.
And now it's like 14, man, throw 32 in. I don't even care how many. You'll get rid of so many teams early anyway. Give me more college football because it sucks that like Missouri wouldn't be in. They're actually a pretty good team. You know, like if you're going to have a tournament, why not give them a shot?
And for those that weren't with us, the ACC would get 2 automatic bids. The Big 12 would get 2. Notre Dame would still have their path if they're rated high enough. A group of 5.
I thought it was 3 and 4.
It was 4 and 4 with the Big 10, and then 2 each from the Big 12 and the ACC. So that gets you to 12, and then one group of 5, and then Notre Dame if it's available. If Notre Dame doesn't get there, then there's one actual wild card.
You're right. You're right.
I'd be okay. I'd be okay only guaranteeing 1 Big 12, 1 ACC, 1 group of 5. Notre Dame if they can get there and leave 2 wild cards open, 3 when Notre Dame's not good.
In that system, every conference championship game still for a bye.
Yeah, that's
the carrot on the stick for the conference championship.
No,
game.
just the Big 10 and the SEC.
Those are 2 byes.
Those are the only 2 byes.
Yeah.
So it'd be the Big 10 champion, the SEC champion. That's why you'd want to win this weekend.
Yeah.
You get that 1 bye, and then everybody else will be playing on campus. Probably the first 2 rounds.
And by the way, there's no meaningless games. Like really, Texas and Georgia is meaningless this weekend,
except for the actual trophy and that date. That's it.
I mean, but from an outside perspective,
but it's still a championship.
But I'm talking about like for you as the viewer.
Like
what do you have in the game?
But to me, the more important thing is that the bowl games are irrelevant now, and they're going to have all these opt-outs. So why not just make it so big that everybody gets in and then turn it into the bowl games? Because if Alabama ends up in the Cheez-It Bowl, which is the other option option here.
Yeah.
Not a good option.
Where is that, by the way?
It's in Orlando.
yeah.
You like Cheez-It, so you Cheez-It.
Is that the old Citrus Bowl now?
the old Citrus
Yeah, because that's the one they would go to.
The white cheddar Cheez-It, to me, is the best.
What about the Cheez-It Grooves? Have you had the Cheez-It Grooves?
I have those.
Yeah. Don't like those?
I mean, I could take or leave a Cheez-It, but
Hot and spicy. They're
I never
Coker's favorite.
buy it. Like, my kids used to love them.
But I've always argued, outside of the playoffs, the bowls don't mean anything anyway.
Think of the opt-out. So if Bama goes
I
to the
know.
Cheez-It Bowl,
I mean, do you think Milroe would play in that?
no,
No.
he's gone. Like, he's done.
EA Sports, I don't know if they really know what's going to happen, but I do stupid stuff sometimes in my spare time. I'm playing a dynasty. I'm in second year
Nice.
coaching New Mexico State, and I'm 4-8, but I got a bid to the Arizona Bowl. So I don't know if EA
Well, how did you
Sports
get a bid? Good academics?
I don't know if EA Sports.
God, if we got 4-18.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't know if EA Sports knows that they're going to fill all those bowl slots. They've got to take away the mandate to win 6 games or not.
How do you like the game? You like it?
I hate it.
You hate it?
Yeah, the gameplay
Well,
sucks.
it's gotten
Okay.
thumped down.
But he's playing New Mexico
Yeah,
State on
because-
a dynasty mode.
Because he's already won. I know what he's doing. It's trying to make it more challenging.
Yeah, I turned down the Vanderbilt job after year 1. I wish I'd have taken that.
You have finished season 2 of Emily in Paris.
I've already finished that. I watched that in one day. It was only 8 episodes.
Not only would Milroe probably opt out, if I'm Kalen DeBoer in the Cheez-It Bowl, I go to Ryan Williams and say, "Didn't you pull your hamstring?"
Yeah.
I thought so.
The Cheez-It.
Yeah, I thought that hamstring feels a little loose to me.
I didn't get fired up. I'd take the Pop-Tart Bowl over the Cheez-It Bowl because there's 3 masses.
I like
Do you
Pop-Tarts
think it
better.
gets? I brought up the NIT today, and I'll never forget when Purvis Ellis in 1986 they won a national championship. You might have been covering Louisville basketball back then, but the very next year, after winning the national championship, they ended up not going to the NCAA tournament, and they turned down the NIT. Do you think it gets to a point where a team like Alabama's like, we don't want to go to the Cheez-It Bowl?
Oh, yeah, I think you could have some opt-outs, mainly because what Brownie and Mick were talking about, that you have so many of your stars that are not going to play. Then I don't know if they still do it like they used to, Mick, but like when Alabama would get a bid to, say, the Citrus Bowl,
Right.
Alabama was on the hook for their portion of
yeah.
the tickets, 12,500 tickets. The school would buy them and then sell them to the fans.
Yeah.
And, this year, for instance, the Citrus Bowl or the Cheez-It Bowl, whatever you want to call it, Alabama fans aren't going to want to go to that.
No.
They're not going to go to that. They would get that. The Cheez-It Bowl would choose Alabama for the TV ratings.
Right.
For that, but they would not choose them for the crowd.
No.
They would get a bigger crowd if they went with South Carolina or Ole Miss.
Think how
They would want
spoiled
the
we
TV
are.
ratings.
When I was in school, we were excited about the Independence Bowl.
No, Indy
And
Bowl.
we went 3 times with Brownie. I was there for all 3 of them.
Yeah.
And we won
The
2 of them.
waitresses at the buffet in Shreveport were like, "Hey, Mick, welcome back, man."
Well, it was Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
To Buffalo and Hooters. Like,
We're at Grocery Brewpub in Homewood, the Grocery Brewpub, right here in the heart of Homewood, next to the Battery. You come by and enjoy the golden beer.
Yeah. So is today the 5th?
What?
It's the golden ale, not beer.
It's a golden L.
Golden
It is the
L.
Kona Big Wave.
Yeah.
The golden
Hawaii.
beer.
It is liquid aloha.
yeah.
So from the 5th to the 9th, all day, they've got drink specials, giveaways, warm up with us during the staycation season, and get a great taste of island living liquid aloha from our friends at Kona. And of course, Bud Light, Busch Light, Stella, all the great Michelob Ultra, everything in the family.
Yeah, I'm only laughing, Brown, because you got into it and you realized I don't remember what the name of the beer is,
Yeah.
and then you went Rob Manfred on it. Okay, I've got a crazy new rule I want to pitch. What can I call it? Let's call it the golden at bat. The worst name ever created.
I did not plan to discuss this, but Mick's a baseball guy.
Hey, big time.
He does Cubs games.
No,
He does the Knoxville games.
I'm not a baseball guy. It's the worst thing ever.
So, do you really think there's a appetite for this in Major League Baseball?
No, man. I mean,
Manfred says there is.
no, come on. I feel like the game has. I don't even want to use the word. I'm not real happy with the direction of some of this stuff that he's doing.
Pitch clock's been great, though.
The pitch clock has been awesome.
It changed,
because
but
for
before you got to your
guy,
point-
getting out of there in two and
No
a half
doubt.
hours.
But you saw that minor league baseball before we ever saw it.
It's not like the NFL is just a different model. Right now, what you're seeing in the NBA with the in-season tournament,
Right.
Yeah.
right now what you're seeing with it, I don't know if you guys have seen this, the NHL has got a all Finland team. They've got an all USA team, and then they've got an all. Help me out with another
Canada
nation.
and Europe.
And it might be Canada.
So it's the World Baseball Classic on ice, basically.
They're going to do it for a week. They're going to have this tournament instead of having a all-star game.
Yep.
And it's like we've got to try all these gimmicks, and like baseball doesn't need it. Like it is driving me away from basketball.
The in-season tournament.
In-season tournament.
Just start with a shitty court.
Yeah, on top.
Yeah.
To begin with.
Yeah, right. I don't know what's going on. I think the game's really good, and what's really crazy is that college baseball has made huge strides since when I was doing play-by-play with Chris Stewart. You know, I remember being at the games that the first year that they fixed the Alabama Stadium before that, and being there on like a Tuesday, and it'd be like 500 people, 300 people, and being like, man, this is a waste of my time. You know, if nobody cares about this, why do I care about it?
If this few people are here, how many are listening?
Right, that's exactly it. You know, and then I see like being in Knoxville with the Smokies, and seeing what they've done there and the excitement around college baseball. I hope Alabama gets to that point. I saw a little progress last year, but I mean up there they love it, man, and it's because they've kept the game the exact same way. Now you got the pitch clock, but they haven't thrown all these gimmicks in there. The game itself is a great sport, you know, and what happened with baseball, I think that it's just kind of got boring and slow. Yeah. But the college game has become, I think, a better game than the professional game in some aspects, and they love playing still. It's not about the money.
Van Pelt said last night on Sports Center, he's doing all this stuff to speed up the game. Where the hell are we going?
Yeah.
He's like, if I'm going to drive to the stadium and pay the tickets, why am I in a rush to get out of there in 2.5 hours? Why? I came here for a reason. Yeah. I want to be here. Go ahead and put a runner on second base and extra innings just to speed up the game. The pitch clock worked. I liked it.
I loved it.
I'm telling you, it is the attention span, and this is going to be us sounding old, but me and Jack were sitting at walk-ons at the bar, and we were talking to the bartender, and she's like, all I do is I look at TikTok every night. I don't watch shows. I don't watch movies because they take too long. And, like, the attention span of the younger generation, because of this stuff, you can't captivate them for 2.5, 3 hours.
I will tell you that I'm old, and I turned off the games last night, and I'm like, I'm about to go to sleep. Let me check TikTok.
Yeah.
And I checked all my social, but I checked TikTok, and I went, the first thing that popped up for some reason was an episode of Dawson Creek, like a scene in Dawson Creek, and I was like,
that's your algorithm, Jim.
Thank God it's not Roll Tide Willie.
Okay, so it was a really good scene. Joey was upset with Pacey and about something.
I never watched.
And so I watched that one scene. It lasted 8 minutes, and then I went forward. It was something basketball, girl in a bikini, girl in a thong. Then it was back to Dawson's Creek again. It was, and next thing you know, it had been an hour, and I was like, damn, it's just
okay. So real quick, who sends out like the Dawson Creek clip on TikTok?
I don't know. I didn't look to see who it was from.
It could be anybody. Anybody could do it.
We get dinged for saying Dawson Creek on our platform, but somebody's sending out clips of it. Yeah. Speaking of attention span,
somebody mentioned this, and I was confirming it. Mike G says Bill Belichick is interviewed for the North Carolina job.
That'd be fun.
I heard he had some interest in the West Virginia job.
No.
Yep.
Hey, look, he's probably at that point where he wants to get back in it just to do it for fun, because of the love of the game.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, look, I don't mind seeing it. It would be a topic of conversation for us, but what you risk is because forever it was, is it Belichick or Brady? And then Brady leaves, goes to your Bucs, wins a championship. New England goes this way, and everybody said, I think it did diminish a little bit of Belichick.
But what if he goes in and wins, though?
Yeah, well, that would be great, but if he goes there and pulls an Aaron Rodgers.
He's not.
Brett McMurphy is, real quick, Brett McMurphy, who is very reliable, is reporting this, that Bill Belichick interviewed for the North Carolina job. The initial reports were from Inside Carolina, which is one of their, I think that's on 3, maybe, I don't know. It's one of their fan websites, but McMurphy is backed it up now.
What would only make it better is if he takes the North Carolina job, then Saban says, okay, I'll take the NC State job.
I'll take the Duke job.
No, he'd go to West Virginia.
I'm going to go to the rival.
Yeah. He'd go home to West Virginia.
Hey, you know what? Why does he have to interview?
Who, Belichick?
Yeah.
If he wanted it, I would say, what time can he be here?
Yeah, I would too. Like, I guess the questions would be, if you're Bubba Cunningham, like, how involved, like, what do you know about NIL? It's been a while. I think the last college job was Navy.
Bubba, I don't know, but we've been paying contracts for years, so I know a lot about it.
I know your other coach was taking naps nonstop.
Yeah. By the way, he's younger than Mac Brown.
He is.
So they're going younger if they go Belichick. That's crazy.
But he's still 72, Belichick.
He is, but he also is a former general manager. He managed the salary cap in New England, so that's an advantage with the revenue share coming.
Yeah, that's true.
I would be afraid I'm getting the Herm Edwards situation.
No.
Not as bad as.
Yeah, but Herm Edwards was never a good coach in the NFL.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that it's set up.
He had a great
Herm,
quote though one time.
where Herm was going to be the GM and Antonio Pierce was basically coaching the team. You know, I don't want that situation with Bill Belichick. If I hire him, I want him to be my head coach. I'm not hiring a CEO.
More importantly, though, do you guys think it would resonate with any of the recruits or guys that would transfer in to play for Bill Belichick?
I would want to play for him. If I
Well, because you're old like us. I'm just saying,
but
for a 20-year-old.
When he goes in, he's got all his Super Bowl rings. I mean, like, you know, and then besides that, you're going to get all those guys with the money. The North Carolina boosters are going to be like, hey, man, we got Bill Belichick. Let's hook this guy up with some NIL cash and let's try to win right now.
Yeah, that would be the advantage, right? It'd be as much as you limited money. You got the rev share and then the extra money from the tobacco money.
You know who probably doesn't want this hire is Hubert Davis.
Yeah.
Because of that, what we're talking about right there. It'd almost be easier to get excited over Belichick than over Hubert Davis.
Oh, and I am convinced after watching North Carolina lose again last night that Hubert Davis is going to be one of these coaches that's like this.
Yeah.
I mean, year one, it was play for a national championship. Year two, they missed the tournament.
Yeah.
Year three,
Sweet
16.
And
This year, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, how long?
And they miss it this year, he'll get fired.
Do you really think so?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, he's on the hot seat. How many people were going, hey, why don't we get this Alabama guy? Have you seen their gym?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't miss the tournament 2 out of 4 years at North Carolina.
No.
Yeah, but the other 2 years were incredible years.
Yeah, but he was taking over.
One
he
was.
came in with wasn't his guy.
I think Sweet 16 is their bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you made the Sweet 16. Okay, the season has started, guys. We're in the Sweet 16. And, I mean, that's the pressure of being Hubert Davis, the North Carolina coach.
They had a 2-0 lead.
That was it. They were never in that game.
It got blown off their own home court. Like,
I know.
Same thing happened in Maui with Auburn. It was easy money. Auburn dominated that game. So those are elite teams they're losing to.
Yeah, but
Who was the teams, Brown? It was Auburn, Alabama. They've lost to Michigan State and one of Kansas.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
those are excellent teams.
Yeah, that was a 3-point loss to Kansas.
Yeah.
maybe they turn it around.
But I hope they
do.
We talked about this on the show today. One of our members in our chat room said, I watched that game last night. R.J. Davis might be the only Carolina player that would start at Alabama. And that's amazing to consider that Alabama has got a starting 5, and you wonder if a North Carolina starter could start there.
Yeah, I didn't want to argue on the show today when y'all said he might be the only one. I don't know if he would be the guy that would start. Is his outside shot good enough to?
Yeah, I mean, last night he was 1 of 11.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, he is the 4th leading scorer in North Carolina history.
Yeah.
I mean, I would kind of like my backcourt with Mark Sears and R.J. Davis.
Yeah.
But then who am I taking off? LeBaron Philon?
At that point,
Yeah.
if he's playing for Nate, though, he's coming down the court and draining those threes.
LeBaron Philon becomes the best 6 man in the country.
Yeah. He looked really good last night, too, by the way.
I think I would go LeBaron Philon, and if RJ could beat out Mark Sears, I'd let that happen.
Did you guys ever think Bama basketball would be here?
I did not. No, I did not. I just never thought that they would get the hire right and make the necessary commitment. And then I thought, and here's the weird thing, I thought if they ever got a coach that had Nate Oats level success, they would lose him to a bigger basketball school. I mean, Greg Byrne hit this one out of the park because
it's a grand slam.
He got a guy that is an excellent basketball coach. Nate Oats is as good a coach as there is in the country, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he's the best coach in the country, but I'm saying he's in an elite group of coaches with, guys like Bruce Pearl and
he's on there.
Bill Self and people like that. I mean, Nate Oats is in that group. And he's a guy that is content to be where he is because, and he has said this himself, there are massive advantages to coaching at a football school for him. Like, would he like a better arena? Of course he would, but he got a good practice facility out of it. But he is smart enough to know Alabama's football success in the SEC gives him money to operate.
That's right. He's got more to spend than Hurley does at UConn.
So you hit it perfect.
Wow.
You hit it perfectly. You're like, I've got a really good coach who's content to be here. He's not looking for the next rung of the ladder.
I'm not saying he's not content to be there, Brown, but every year there will be people coming, including
100%.
the NBA.
Yeah.
And that's the big talking point
that's
now.
the only thing that would concern you. I think now, as an Alabama fan, because he is intrigued with the NBA,
and that's what everybody says now. Nate Oats runs an NBA system, NBA analytics. He's hiring coaches from the NBA. The guy from the Pistons, who's his big assistant now, he basically is an NBA coach in waiting for somebody.
And by the way, the Lakers might be in need of a coach. I know they're 12-10 right now.
JJ Redick's not going to work out. You kidding me?
Lakers. I mean, look, they got absolutely smoked this LeBron thing. He's starting to the age is showing a little bit.
Historic
they need to get rid of
the
all
margin of loss, right?
Oh.
I don't think the Lakers in their history have lost
back-to-back games like that.
This number of games by the margin that they lost by.
Yeah, and look, they're still 12-10, but JJ Redick, wish him the best, but there's a chance it could be a one-and-done situation. And much like Dan Hurley, I don't know how much he really flirted with the Lakers. I know he flew out and met with them. I think it was more leverage. But if you were going to take an NBA job and you were offered the Lakers job,
for how much money? What do the Lakers pay?
I think the Lakers would pay the right coach $15 million a year.
Well, Alabama can never pay a basketball coach that. There's obviously a cost of living adjustment. Nate is 6.5, 7, and I think his contract goes up to 8.
You could get him to 10.
You could probably get him to 10 and justify it. And in that case, money-wise, it becomes a difficult decision.
Well, here's the
15
thing.
in L.A., 10 in Tuscaloosa.
First of all, do you want to live in L.A.?
No.
The second, if you win a championship in L.A., okay, put it next to the other 18 or 19. I forgot what the number is.
Right.
He can do something in Tuscaloosa. It's very redundant. That has never been done before. He's already done that last year.
Yeah.
Going to a Final Four.
But let me ask you this. If Dan Hurley kicked the tires on the Lakers and didn't do it, do you think Nate Oats would? Those two are a lot alike. My only point
I
there
don't
is,
know if they're alike.
well, I mean,
Dan Hurley is the most obnoxious coach in college basketball.
I mean, probably in what they value in a team and an organization, I think they're probably a lot alike.
I really think Dan Hurley used the Lakers just to get leverage to get the money he got.
I'd believe that.
I'll bring this up on the show one day, but I saw this tweet. So did you guys, I'm sure Jim did, I don't know about you two, did y'all see what Dan Hurley said about these MTEs, the multiple team events?
Yep.
When they went 0-3 in Maui, in his next press conference back in Connecticut, I believe it was, he said, I am never playing in one of those again.
Really?
Yeah, he goes, does nothing for us. I mean, just the most condescending, like Kansas plays in them, Duke plays in them.
And by the way,
North Carolina
your
plays
kids
in them.
get a vacation.
Yeah.
Your fans love it. They travel. You're playing high-end, out-of-conference teams, which obviously beefs up everything when you're looking at resumes.
That's what he said, though. Well, what do I gain? What does my team gain from playing 3 quality opponents in 3 days back to back to back?
I can't stand the guy. He's a great coach.
So
I can't stand him.
after he did that, I saw somebody retweet it and say, Dan Hurley really is just Kim Mulkey without Elton John's wardrobe.
Yes, I saw that.
That's
That's unbelievable.
That is perfect.
That is unbelievable.
He's Kim Mulkey without Elton John's wardrobe.
He's got some jewelry.
But they brought it up last night, and Jay Williams said, do you think Dan Hurley would have said that if he'd gone 3-0 in Maui?
No, of course
Instead
not.
of 0-3?
You know what he would have been saying? We're the best team in the country.
Yep.
We went to an MTE that had all these teams in it, and we walked through it. But I don't know. The guy drives me crazy.
What does MTE stand for?
Multiple team event.
Okay.
MTE. That's the basketball parlance for the multiple team events. They're great for the fans. They're great for the players. But Dan Hurley says he'll never play in one again.
Yeah, ask Auburn fans and Bruce Pearl how much he liked it.
They loved it,
Maui right now. And by the way, they don't even have to go 500 and maybe 500 in the SEC, a little below 500. Their resume's already built.
They're 500. They're a 4 seed.
Yeah, they will never sweat the NCAA tournament this year. It's one seed or not for them all year.
He's a popular coach amongst Alabama fans.
Who? Pearl?
We all like him.
Really?
I'm going to tell you. Yeah, I mean, I'm just telling you. Like, I'm surprised because it's the first time I ever remember an Auburn coach.
Interesting.
A lot of us are like, we like him. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have the Oats. And
I could believe.
Seems like a good guy.
Well, I mean, Alabama could have had Pearl.
Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, that was a very, very popular hire. So
he wanted a job at that point.
Yeah, he wanted that job. It was one.
Avery Johnson was still there, and
they held one more year.
Johnson?
The issue was one more year, like Jim was saying, one more year on the show calls.
I thought Anthony
could
Grant.
Well, I think when he became available, Alabama decided to stick with Avery one more year.
That's right, in Auburn.
And Auburn opened, and Auburn took it.
Yep. And the issue was that he couldn't recruit off campus for a full year.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
And I remember everybody saying, you can figure that one out for a year.
Yeah, we haven't recruited anyway. Look at us.
Yeah, I know. They weren't recruiting off
We
campus.
had Avery Johnson as the coach. Hey, the worst guy I've ever.
I don't know how long before you guys have got to get out to go to Atlanta. I wanted to ask you, though, because you brought this up today, Dunaway. Kalen DeBoer, year one. Most people said 9-3, 10-2.
Right.
He went 9-3. He's got a really good shot at getting to college football playoff. He's got a top 5 recruiting class. What is your letter grade for Kalen DeBoer, regardless of what happens moving forward?
And I give him a B-. I think if they were a little more disciplined, this team had the talent to basically go through it 11-1. I really like the guy as a person, though. I mean, he did my show. He was so funny. He's genuinely a good dude. He goes out selfishly, man. Like, he goes out of his way for people like us, you know. Yeah. And I got sick and tired of Saban doing all the national stuff. And I've said this before. I love Saban, but it just got so old where he wouldn't go through and talk to anybody at the SEC stuff. You guys probably talked to him, but the rest of us didn't. And then
DeBoer comes twice a year.
DeBoer came in and he does everything you ask for. He's a great role model, just like Saban. But the discipline's got to get a little bit better. That's the only reason I'm not giving him an A. If he lost to Auburn, it would have been like a C-, D+. So,
so one game.
That's my opinion, but I like the guy a whole lot.
Well, I mean, that's fair because he would have lost to your two,
Yeah, you can't lose.
Can't lose to Auburn.
That would have been disastrous.
Yeah.
But, he's got to get guys that respond to him because he's not going to be in everybody's face yelling at him.
Well, that's it. You got to get. I mean, Nick Saban recruited guys that were used to his kind of discipline, and when you don't have that kind of discipline, maybe you think it's the substitute teacher, and you can act differently.
Right.
He needs to recruit the guys that respond to his way of coaching. I give it a B+, Mick. I think that to be 9-3, to have that recruiting class, and to me, Brown and LT brought this up today. The recruiting class is, I think, what most people were concerned about, not the actual coaching. And the fact that he knocked it out of the park with this recruiting class, he and Courtney Morgan, the GM,
great
that
job,
says
Courtney.
a lot. Yeah.
Well, my point was people worried, I think, more about the recruiting than the coaching. The coaching's number 11 in the country. The recruiting's number 2 in the country, right?
I know.
I think people thought maybe those would be a little closer to being flipped.
Yeah.
I would not go any less than a B- if it stays as is. If he gets to a college football playoff, wins a game, it's an A.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can go up too.
I mean, here's the thing, and people get sick of me saying this. Alabama's ceiling is so high. If Jalen Milroe plays like Jalen Milroe at his best, Alabama can win this whole thing. That's just, it's fact.
Right. They got to get in.
Got to get in first.
Yeah.
We're in. I thought go ahead and say we're in.
Mick says they're in. I thought Rhett Lashley was campaigning today. He was on the campaign circuit today.
Did you see where they have some COVID cases now? I'm kidding.
But he said this, that the reason we don't have top 25 wins is we knocked those teams out of the top 25. That was his point. He's like, we beat Pitt fell out of the top 25. We beat Louisville fell out of the top 25. Dude. We beat there was one more he mentioned that's just outside the top 25 right now. Duke. Yeah, we beat Duke, which that was a weird game, by the way.
It was overtime.
Yeah. They turned it over 6 times, still somehow beat Duke. We beat Duke, and Duke's just outside the top 25. That was his point there. And I'm like, I know what Red's doing, and we like Red on this show, Mick.
I do too.
But he's doing a pretty good job campaigning.
He's
a hell of a coach.
He is. But you could say that about every team in America.
Bama would have won every game.
Anybody that beats a team, that team drops.
Yeah.
That's just the way it works. And I get what he's saying is we're being held accountable for no top 25s because we knock teams out of the top 25. Well, if you were their only loss, they'd be in the top 10.
Yeah, right.
They're out of the top 25 because they lost to you and other teams.
And they're not that good.
LSU's just on the outside because they lost to Alabama.
That's right. Absolutely right. So that was Red today.
Yeah. I would say this. He's got to fight for his school like Shane and Lane's got to fight for his job.
That's what they're getting paid to do.
I think there's a better chance that Rhett Lashley is back battling for the ACC championship more than there is for Shane Beamer to be back where he is this time next year. And we'll talk about this in the offseason, obviously, on our main show, but Beamer loses a lot of defensive parts. You'll still have a Lenora Sellers, but can he replace
Guards back? I mean,
can he replace all the defense and some of the people he's losing there to make another run next year? That's why if I'm him, I would really be out there going, because I don't know if I get back into this chance again to be in the playoffs or this close. And, Lane obviously thinks he'll be there again. SMU, I think they're in, but I think SMU will be back in the conversation again next year with their money that they can spend in that league.
They've been waiting for this thing.
Yeah.
When you can buy a roster.
All right, we're at Grocery Brewpub. We're going to wrap things up. First of all, let's tell them about the Golden Ale Dunaway.
Yeah.
Golden Ale.
It is the Golden Ale, the Kona Big Wave Liquid Aloha. Warm up with us here at the Grocery Brew Pub during staycation season. Get a taste of the island living. Come in, get one, $7. That's what the pints are right now. They've got great giveaways, drink specials all week long. But come join us, our friends at Adams, and, of course, Bud Light.
It is Bud Light game night. CoverCrimson.com. You and Clint, Stacy, you guys doing, Jake Coker, Mike Johnson, y'all doing incredible work over there. People can join the website. There's a lot of free content on the Cover Crimson YouTube channel. Go watch that. But the website and the message board, $1 for the first month. And as Jim said, with portal season opening up, Clint's connections, your connections, Jay's connections, that's going to become important in the portal.
Hey, we can't wait. I mean, there's a lot of that stuff. We were talking about it after our show today. Clint and I did from your guys' studio. It was
That's
great.
right.
I sat in your seat.
Oh,
It felt
man.
great. I was like, oh, look, I feel like
It's finally somebody used it well.
Yeah, but really, this coaching staff. They're built for the portal. Forget about the number 2, recruiting class. These guys are built for the portal. They're gonna probably ask some guys that don't really fit to go, and we're seeing that. And that's how it works now. But the guys that are coming in, look at what they did last year in limited time in the portal.
Yeah.
And then think about that, right? And then think about what things are going to look like this year. Kalen DeBoer, I think the guy's going to, as long as he's at Alabama, as long as he wants to be here, he's going to be a great coach. And I think you're going to see him really kill it with the portal.
And I think the portal is when the first time you'll really see what Courtney Morgan is able to do, not just in recruiting, but I think he has now guys that I'll put it this way, if they get into the portal, that they will quickly target.
Yeah.
Not that they've already talked to him or anything like that, but if they get into the portal on December the 9th, that you already have sort of the free agents you want to go after.
Well, we will discuss much more about that. Clint and Mick over at CoverCrimson.com and the entire gang there. Dunaway and I are off to Atlanta. We'll be with EG at the College Football Hall of Fame tomorrow. Lance holding down the fort and studio. So we got a big fun show coming at you tomorrow. Come out to Grocery Brew Pub right here in Homewood. Enjoy that. Enjoy great Bud Light, the Golden Ale as well, and have a
Ride the wave,
great
man.
Thursday. Come
Ride the wave.
Ride the wave. Enjoy Lions and Packers. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock on the next.